Hello. All right, let me get everyone in. We will get started. Push all the buttons. All right. And in the chat, see if you are wanting to do the free audit. That is in the chat. So you can click that, fill that out. I think I did 3 audits this morning in the Facebook group. So if you submitted an audit yesterday, um, you will find your audit inside the Facebook group. And I didn't get to all of them. So I have several more in the docket to do. I only got enough time to do 3 of them today. So make sure to join the Facebook group to see your audit. Um, some of you did submit an audit, and I didn't actually see you in the Facebook group. So I want to make sure that that's really clear. Audit results are in the Facebook group. Um, if you didn't fill out an audit yet, it is in the chat, right? This looks weird today. Oh, yes, it is. It's in the chat. All right, everyone that is here live with me today, I would love to know um, if you watched the replay or you were here live yesterday, what was the biggest thing that you took from that? Do you have any questions from yesterday? And then we are going to move into today, which is all about nutrition. And I'm going to share my screen. Nutrition and hormones in midlife. Because the truth is, we often want to micromanage our hormones. I'm making sure that I have everything where I need to be. Okay. Can somebody put in the chat, can you see my screen that says fed up? Just so I know I'm on the right sharing screen here. Yes, thank you. Okay. Oh my gosh. Swear to God, sometimes the buttons that I have to click to get to where I want to go, it just literally drives me crazy. I have had this figured out for most of my life. And then as soon as I think that we got it, something changes and we got a new screen. It's fine. Okay. Okay. So back to what I was saying. Midlife, what we often think we need to do is try to like micromanage our hormones, right? I think my hormones are imbalanced. I'm in perimenopause, I'm postmenopause, wherever we are, and we kind of want to like blame the hormones, micromanage them, get them in order, and then we'll feel better. The truth is that our sex hormones that we often think about as hormonal balance are estrogen, progesterone, testosterone. Those guys they're not unmanageable, but they are a lot more manageable when we focus on the controllables. The controllables are insulin and cortisol. Those are 2 hormones that when we focus on them, our sex hormones, estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, naturally fall into line because our cortisol is well balanced and regulated, which cortisol is the stress hormone. Our insulin is well balanced because of our nutrition and our blood sugar stability. And when those two fall into line, which is great because they're the most controllable, they're the ones we have access to, they're the ones that we can actually change in our day to day, then the natural side effect is going to be hormonal balance. And I'm just going to give you like a little bit of loving push here that is actually what you want, natural hormonal balance without adding in a whole bunch of stuff, supplements, medications, all of those kinds of things. We're just adding that onto basically an already very stressed body, and it's not going to get us very far. It's not going to be the thing that actually helps us feel a whole lot better. We might get a little bit better, but we're not going to get the full picture. The full picture happens when our body is safe, when our body is well fueled, when our nervous system is regulated. Okay, So, yesterday we found out why your nervous system has been keeping you stuck. Today, we're going to find out how food is either adding to the dysfunction or creating safety. So, today is really where we are finding out if is how I'm eating day to day, reinforcing the problem of nervous system dysregulation, or is it going to help me find a way out of this? Because the truth is, we cannot regulate a nervous system that is not well fueled, that does not have the energy, the nutrition, the food, the actual tangible resource to be able to regulate. Because the nervous system is constantly asking, am I safe? If there's not food coming in, it's deeming that as unsafe. I'm not okay. I don't have resources here. Things must not be good. I'm going to stay in dysregulation. So that looks like fight or flight response, freeze or fawn response. We keep bouncing back and forth, and we don't ever make meaningful action in the way we want to create and also feel inside of our body. So you have been, I want you to understand also that you have been doing everything, quote unquote, right, that you were taught to do, right? Maybe it was track your foods, eat more protein, have 3 meals a day. Maybe it was go do some fasting. Maybe it was cut out carbs. Like you've been given a whole lot of information. And so I want you to know that the actions that you are doing are not ill-intended, right? You're not like, I can't wake up or can't wake up to, or I can't wait to wake up today and see how I can mess this up. I can't wait to see how terrible I can feel. We're not doing that to ourselves, right? You have well-meaning actions behind the intention that you are doing day in and day out. But even though with those, right, we're still walking around feeling tired, inflamed, we feel stuck in these bodies. I want you to think about possibilities on why this continues to happen, even while we have great intentions. Because what if the way that we've been taught to eat as high functioning women in our late 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s in 2026 is actually the problem? What if what we've been taught isn't actually the solution for us? What if the coping mechanisms that we've relied on most of our lives, which would be to try really hard, to do things right, to make people really happy, what if those coping mechanisms, because all those things, trying really hard, doing everything right, keeping everyone happy, is a coping mechanism? When we do those things, we get something back called love, acceptance, knowing we're doing it right and we're on the right path, feeling like we've got our backs and we're doing everything that we possibly can, right? Those are coping mechanisms that in the past have given us what we needed. In the past, they gave us love from our moms, from our dads, from our family. You did a really good job on your test. I'm so proud of you. We did a really good job in school. We got good grades. We moved up in our jobs because we were people pleasers. We did more. We took on projects. We took over this thing, and we were recognized, and we got to move up in our job. In our households, let me do this. Let me do that. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. I'm going to make sure everyone in my household, my children, my significant other, know that I love them so much and that I'm here to take care of them, right? And that allows us to feel loved, to feel accepted, to feel worthy, to feel like we're doing it right. And so we take those mechanisms and then we also apply them to our day-to-day life and how we eat and how we don't eat and how we move and how we don't move and how we just do the basic care of ourselves day in and day out. So what if some of those coping mechanisms are actually keeping us from being able to lose unwanted weight, from being able to balance our hormones naturally, from being able to fall asleep and stay asleep, from being able to feel calm and at ease in our body and be able to make decisions with ease and feeling like I can wake up, I can have energy, I can move through my day, and everything is pretty good. And even if it's not pretty good, and we're all going to have shitty days, that I've got my back when things kind of go to shit every once in a while. Speaking of going to shit, my cat is going to pull my computer off. She loves to come in and ruin things for me. Okay. And then what if the nervous system dysregulation is actually from underfueling and blood sugar instability, which are the things that we're going to talk about today? Because, like I said before, your nervous system cannot be regulated. We cannot feel less stress. We cannot manage our day-to-day stress when we're not eating consistently and when our blood sugar is unstable. I'm going to teach you what that is today, so don't worry. So I want to talk to you about my client, Tabitha, before we move into learning things, because I want you to see this happen in real time for real people, because our brain comes in and it's like it already believes it's not possible, right? It already believes that I don't know that this would actually work for me. Just knowing that this is how the human mind works. Watch your mind in real time actually give you some of that feedback. But we're like proving to the mind that this is possible. It happens to real people in real life, in real 2026, on the same earth that we are on. So Tabitha, she had actually been dieting since she was about 13 years old. And she couldn't, when we started working together, could not remember a time when she wasn't restricting, limiting, counting, finding rules. And food had become both punishment and reward for her, right? So it came with a lot of shame. So she rewarded herself with food and then she would punish herself with that food. And she'd have that relationship. That food was never neutral. It always came with a very like strong feeling attached to it. And she had tried everything, diets, doctors, programs, all promising more energy, weight loss, feeling really good in your body. But instead, she continued to feel worse. She never slept well. She was constantly stressed. She was exhausted all day long, but then at night she couldn't sleep because she was all wired. And she started to believe something is just wrong with me because I keep finding more things to do, but nothing ever actually changes for me. But after about a month working together, her body simply began to shift. Her bloating started to go down. Her food started to stopped feeling polarizing and so emotional. And she told me, I don't hate and I don't love food anymore. I just see it as something that nourishes me. She started listening to her body again. She began to rest when her body needed rest and eat it. She ate in a way that actually supported her. One of the biggest changes was that the constant food noise that she had in her head went away. And one thing I'll say about food noise is that we've really, now that GLP-1s are a thing, we really have attached food noise to that I only think about food, or that there's this belief that food noise has to be that I don't have control or I'm always thinking about it. Yes, food noise can be that I'm always thinking about it, but it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm thinking about eating. It can be that I don't actually know how to eat. What am I going to eat? When am I going to eat? I'm going to do this wrong. It's that incessant worry constantly about that. And that is also food noise. So, food noise can be for people who constantly think about eating and wondering when they're going to eat next and what they're going to eat next. And it's also the constant anxiety that we have around food and food existing in the first place. So none of the changes that she experienced happened because she ignored her body, because she overrode her body, or because she found rules that I gave her. All of it happened because she started to respond to her body. And now she feels more in control because she has more energy. She sleeps better. Her stress is still there, but it's less of a big deal. It's less, if it impacts her day-to-day life less. And she has a relationship with food that actually feels peaceful. She no longer worries or obsesses over or lets food control her because she knows that she's in charge of taking care of herself. So, what if there's actually nothing wrong with your body? Because that's what Tabitha believed when she started working with me. There's something wrong with my body, right? I keep outsourcing it to doctors and plans and protocols and finding rules. I apply them to myself and it doesn't work. And obviously, if you keep doing things like that and nothing ever works, we don't know what else to blame but ourselves and our body, right? Where else do we put the blame when we keep doing things and nothing ever works? But what I want you to know actually is that nothing is ever wrong with your body. Your body is beautifully created, it's incredibly smart. It's simply responding. Under eating, even unintentionally, which most of you are unintentionally under eating. And you're eating what you think you should be eating based on what somebody told you, based on a macro calculation or some calories or MyFitnessPal or wherever we got our information from. And you're copying and pasting that to your life, right? Without ever checking in with your body. And so it's unintentional, or sometimes you're just so darn busy, you're going from one thing to the next thing to the next thing that you're not even thinking about eating, or you're just like, I'll eat later, right? That's a problem I can deal with later. So under eating, no matter if it's intentional or not, it's your body will read this as an emergency, right? So it creates a stress response. It's not like, oh, you're such a good girl, you're so good, you're so well disciplined. It's not a problem that you're under eating. I understand you're under eating because you want to lose weight, or I understand you're under eating because you think that this is right. Your body isn't interpreting that as a thing. It's interpreting this as an emergency. There's no access to actual energy. There's no actual access to resources in your day-to-day life. So what this looks like is, I think I wrote a thing here. Yes. Okay. So I'll leave the slide up a second. But it was like, we're gonna write this out. And this is not right. Okay. So skipping meals leads to spiking cortisol or under eating all day long. Spiking cortisol leads to high blood sugar. High blood sugar leads to low blood sugar. Low blood sugar leads to high cortisol. And this keeps repeating over and over and over again. From the outside, it looks like you're not being consistent. But on the inside, your body is experiencing a real life nervous system pattern. Okay, so let me stop sharing. Let me show you my handy dandy giant notebook. Okay, can we see this? So, in your day-to-day real life, we have the stressor up here. Now, the stressor can be all sorts of things that we've talked about yesterday and today. Today, we're talking more specifically around under eating or eating with like where your meal isn't stable. It's not a blood sugar stable meal, which we're going to get to in a minute. So don't worry if you don't know what that means. But think about any stressor, right? So today we're talking about under eating. Yesterday we talked about overfunctioning, doing more, ignoring your body, letting your day-to-day stress take over, whatever that looks like. We experience a stressor. Your body has no option but to produce the hormone cortisol, right? It's like, okay, stress, got it, input cortisol. Cortisol will naturally increase your blood sugar. Okay, this is always going to happen. When your blood sugar is high, your blood sugar will eventually become low, right? There's no option here. This is exactly what happens. When your blood sugar is low, your body reads this as an emergency. And so it goes right back into that stressor to now go release cortisol. And you're going to repeat it all over again. So imagine that this is just you skipping lunch and going to a meeting, and you're doing this, and then you're doing this, and then you're doing this. And we're just doing this all day long because we skipped lunch, because we didn't eat breakfast, because we ignored our body. It just keeps happening, right? Can we see why we feel stuck? Because we literally are stuck in this loop over and over and over again. And what happens is then the symptoms that you are here for. I can't lose weight. I'm gaining weight. I have no energy. I didn't write them all out. I'm not sleeping at night. My hormones feel unbalanced. I just feel like I'm on edge all the time, right? Because you're sitting in this cycle over and over and over again. Now, another very simple cycle that just requires a different input. One different input, energy. energy in the form of food. And I'm going to let this be any form of food right now, any breakfast, any lunch, any information that gives your body the signal that there's energy coming in because you are eating, right? We're going to add another layer in that it's going to be blood sugar stable, which we're going to talk about next. So a well-balanced meal is what this means. We're eating, the meal is balanced. That automatically sends the signal, I am safe. Just like before, it automatically sent the signal that cortisol is released and that you are stressed. You don't have a choice. That's what happens. Just in like in here, it automatically happens that your body feels safe. Okay? From feeling safe, now your body gets to hear the communication. Now your mind hears the communication to your body hears the communication to your mind. That's the thing that is missing, right? I can hear my body. I know what my body needs. Boom, information up here. This is what my body needs. Now I'm going to give my body what it needs. Energy in, blood sugar is stable. I feel safe. Communication from my body, give my body what it needs. Boom, I feel safe, right? It's just the cycle that goes over and over. This is so simple, right? It's not actually a hard concept when we see it just like this, because this is literally all you have to do. This is it. But we keep going out and being like, how can I make this harder? How can I find more rules? And also, knowing something very simple is a lot easier than applying it to your day-to-day life, right? We're going to get into that. Um, yes. Okay. Perfect. Beautiful. Thank you for your feedback on the butterfly tapping yesterday. Helpful for me to know. We're going to do another nervous system tool today too. Okay. So with the vicious cycle that we went over before, the cortisol, the body doesn't feel safe, and the miscommunication and the stressor staying stuck in that cycle, could you get, let me pull it up again. Could you get away with this 10 years ago and it doesn't necessarily impact you the way that it does today, right? The stressor, the cortisol, the blood sugar, the low blood sugar, you probably could. It probably actually wasn't a big deal 10 years ago because you had that capacity. Remember from yesterday, we had a lot of capacity. We could move from up to down. It wasn't as big of a deal. But this body that you're in today is operating differently now. It's not broken. It's not flawed. This is exactly what is supposed to happen. Your hormones are a special commodity. They're not necessary for survival. Your body actually doesn't care if you have estrogen. It doesn't care if you have progesterone. It doesn't care if you have testosterone. It just cares that you're alive. So it's not going to prioritize making and detoxing hormones when you're not eating lunch, when you haven't ate breakfast for 3 years, right? Hormonal balance is way on the back burner. We think it's on the top of the burner. We think that it's like the thing that we have to have. Your body's like, that's the last thing you need to have, lady. You actually need to be eating breakfast. You actually need to be giving your body some more nutrients. You actually need to be listening to the body a little bit more. But we're like, I think I need HRT. Now, HRT is fine. If you really need HRT, like you should absolutely do that. That's not what I'm here to argue against. But I am always going to go to the root cause of why you feel the way you do. And if we keep adding things on top of things, on top of things, on top of things, now we just have a very confused body and also another very confused mind is like, well, even this doesn't work for me. Now what? Okay, that was yesterday. Just a reminder on what we're working for towards, right? We are working towards increasing the capacity right here, right? That's our job now in midlife. And the way that we increase our capacity is through fueling the body consistently in a blood sugar stable way, which is coming up next. And also understanding our nervous system, our stress. What does my body actually need from me? So now your body simply just needs a different input, right? Before our input was stressor. Now our input is energy. So I will always teach blood sugar stability. I will never stray from this. If you have been watching me and following me for 5 years, it has not changed because blood sugar stability will not change. Blood sugar stability is literally how your body is resourced. It is how your body creates energy. It is how your body signals hormonal balance. It's how your body uses your energy consistently. It's how you become metabolically healthy, right? It's how your labs normalize. Even with like cholesterol, a lot of women come to me, they're like, my cholesterol is too high. I need to cut out, higher fat foods. And I'm like, you actually need to stabilize your blood sugar, right? High cholesterol is actually an end game to unstable blood sugar for a long period of time. It's not because you've been eating too much fat. It's because your blood sugar has been unstable. Blood sugar stability is also a nervous system strategy because notice in here on this guy, we have cortisol here and we have high blood sugar, right? These two play off of each other. So if we're going to have a regulated nervous system, we darn well need to have a stable blood sugar in the first place. A stable meal is message to your body that you are not in danger, that you have resources, things are good here. And this is how we start turning the signal off that things are bad here. So, blood sugar stable method. Now, I am teaching you not to diet anymore. I'm teaching you not to follow rules. However, I do know that the brain loves structure. The brain loves a little bit of a framework. I think I said this yesterday. I say it often. I don't know where I say things sometimes. But think about when you take your kids to the bowling alley, you put the bumpers in the bowling alley so that the kids can throw the ball and it gets to the end. But that ball still has a lot of room to move back and forth. It's just going to bounce from one bumper to the other, but eventually it's going to get to the end and hit those pins down. That's what we're thinking about blood sugar stable method. And that is how I'm teaching you to start to approach your nutrition is that we have some framework, we have a little bit of structure so we know which way we're going. Because otherwise the mind gets in there and it's like, oh, but over here and then over there. And then we get distracted. Then when we find different rules, and then that feels unsafe for the mind. And we always want to sometimes like play with the mind and be like, okay, mind, I understand that you're looking for. And so here's a more clear answer for you to go with, but also knowing that I'm going to also tune into my body and be able to listen to my body more clearly versus just listening to the mind, finding problems. So the way I like to think about it, this is going to be a little more loose right now when I work with clients, like in Body Wisdom, which is I'm going to tell you more about tomorrow. But in Body Wisdom, we will actually be able to find more specifics to your body. Not me telling you that you have to have 30% protein in each meal, but you actually playing around with different protein amounts to see how does this feel in my body? What is my energy like? How did I sleep at night? What did my stress feel like today? What were my hunger and fullness cues? Actually getting the feedback from your body versus me being like, eat more protein, right? If you're on Instagram, you already know that you should eat more protein. Like if you go shop at the grocery store, literally everything on a label says protein this, protein that. We are aware we should have more protein. That is not your problem. You know that, right? And also, I will say that many of you try to eat more protein. You have that intention in there, but sometimes your digestive system cannot actually digest the amount of protein that you're eating. And so then what happens? Then you're bloated, then you're gassy, then it just sits there and is not actually a useful form of food for you anymore. It's actually hurting you, right? So we have to use the feedback from the body to actually make these informed decisions. But I want to look at this in the way of blood sugar stability. How do we actually create stability in the meal? So the carbohydrates, the sugar, so carbohydrates and sugar, we're going to use them interchangeably because the body converts them all into the same thing. So when you're eating carbohydrates, because we want carbohydrates, especially in midlife, we don't want to cut them out. When we eat them, we want them to be slowly absorbed so that the body gets the energy from the carbohydrate, but not so in a really fast absorption, because when it gets absorbed really fast, your blood sugar goes up high. And any blood sugar that goes up high must come down low. And your body reads that as a stressor. So all we need to do is eat carbohydrates, but eat them with protein, eat them with fat, and eat them with vegetables or some sort of fiber. Because these three, your protein, your fat, and your fiber, are the buffers to your carbohydrate. So we eat them all together in the same meal, and now your body's getting both carbohydrates and it's getting all the other nutrients that it needs as well. But your body's absorbing the carbohydrates nice and slow, so you get like a nice slow rise in the carbs and the blood sugar, and then a nice slow roll down that hill, right? So instead of a roller coaster where it's high and then it's low, we want a nice slow rolling hill with our blood sugar. And that is exactly how we achieve it. That is blood sugar stability. It's eating carbohydrates with our protein, with our fat, and with our fiber. Okay, all three of those. So, protein, a note on protein. Protein is going to be super important in midlife because it is going to offset any sort of breaking down of muscle, any sort of building muscle. We want to keep as much muscle as we can in midlife. Also, muscle is a huge way on how we create blood sugar stability. So, our muscle actually absorbs sugar from our meals and puts it in our muscle, and then we use it for our workouts. We use it to become stronger. Over consuming protein, though, is not helpful and it will not speed up your results. It will just make you feel worse. Your digestive system becomes really slow. It becomes inundated with too much protein. We can't break it all down. We can't even use as like when we're over consuming, we can't even use that much protein. So just know it's not supportive. It's not useful at that point. We just want optimal. And when I'm going to say optimal, at first, I'm going to just guide you to like at a meal, 30% protein. So look at your plate. This here is protein. This here, this brown one is carbohydrates. This one is your veggies. So you can think your veggies and your protein are going to be about half of your plate. And then the rest is going to be your fats and your carbohydrates. Remember, this is about. So this is the starting point, and then you move from there by listening to your body. Carbs are not the enemy. Now, it sounds like it would make sense to, well, if I want blood sugar stability, why don't I just cut my carbohydrates out? And then I'll be stable. Not in midlife. Then in midlife, what you end up doing is that you end up creating more of a stressor because your body actually wants carbohydrates for energy. It prefers carbohydrates for energy. It loves carbohydrates. And we want to be able to ease the energy load on your body by giving it carbs. So when we cut out carbs in midlife, we just add a stressor as our input and we don't add energy as our input. And then we're going to go through that cycle all over again. So cutting them back actually backfires on you. Your body loves carbs, eat them, but just make sure that they're slowly absorbed with your protein, your fat, and your fiber. Fats, we also need fats. Fats create hormones. Our body can't actually create any hormone without fat. And actually, specifically cholesterol. So, this is when things get really messy when we think our cholesterol, or when our cholesterol comes back high, and then we think we need a low fat diet, and then we stop creating hormones, and then we get stuck in this vicious cycle. It all comes back to blood sugar stability. Just let it be really simple. It's always going to go back to blood sugar stability. And then fats will also support your blood sugar. And then your fiber, AKA your non-starchy carbohydrates, is basically what that means. So when we talk about carbohydrates or starchy carbohydrates, this is going to be the thing that raises your blood sugar and usually things that are traditionally thought of as carbohydrates. So your sweet potatoes, your fiber, your fruit, your regular potatoes, your breads, your pastas, your muffins, your cookies, things like that that you would traditionally think about that raise your blood sugar. Those are going to be starchy. Non-starchy carbohydrates don't necessarily raise your blood sugar. They are going to be your vegetables. Because if you look at the components of a vegetable, they are mostly a carbohydrate. It's just a low enough carbohydrate with a high enough fiber that they offset each other and they don't create a blood sugar change. These guys also are micronutrients that fuel the cells. They don't fuel the cells, they fuel them. They balance the microbiome. So that gut that is looking for stability, we want to have a microbiome that has a good amount of good bacteria in it. They support your blood sugar stability. And then also, this is random in here, and I was going to change this, the meal, planning meals in your workbook. So when you look at your workbook on day two, um, there are several ideas in here for you um, on this page on what it actually looks like to have. I'm going to stop sharing so you can just fully see me because that screen is boring. What it actually looks like to have a blood sugar stable meal. So you can always pull out your PDF, but we have some time today, so I'm going to talk about it. And I'm also going to just tell you exactly like what I eat in a day because sometimes we just need to hear, oh, I'm actually doing most of it right. I just need to switch this. Or, oh, I am really missing the boat on that. I thought I was doing it right. So for breakfast, I eat eggs almost every day. There's rarely a day that I go without eggs. So what I do is I do scrambled eggs. One thing with eggs that I have noticed is that we tend to think like one or two eggs is enough protein. It's not. That's like 10 grams of protein, 12 grams of protein, something like that. It's not significant. And whenever I'm looking at somebody's meal, and if women are getting enough protein where they feel balanced for several hours, their hunger and fullness cues are on point, they feel satisfied, they feel calm, they feel present and grounded in their body, it's usually going to be a minimum of 20 grams of protein in a meal, and it could be upwards of 30. Generally, this is where I'm going to see most women fall. So when I'm looking at eggs, if you're having one or two eggs for breakfast, that's not going to get you very far. So notice, where am I skimping on my breakfast, thinking that just because it has protein in it, that it counts. It's great that you're doing that. I love eggs for you, but we need to bulk it up a little bit. We need to give our body a little bit more. So what I typically do is I'll crack two eggs into my frying pan, and then I'll do several, like I have chickens, so I can just use all the eggs, right? So then I'll just use egg whites after that, about a half a cup. You can also buy egg whites and then pour them into your regular eggs. Scramble them up. I put a little bit of cottage cheese in there as well. It gives it a really nice texture. Plus, we're adding in more protein, right? That's how you're going to bulk up your breakfast and get enough protein in there so you get several hours of feeling nice, satisfied, grounded in your body. Then we're going to add a little bit of spinach in there. So we have some non-starchy carbohydrates. We have color. Anytime we're adding color to a meal, we're adding non-starchy fiber carbohydrates, which are the micronutrients that our body really needs to feel functional and to help give us energy. And then I'm going to add in like, or on the side, I'm going to have like a cup of berries or something like that. So when you look at this breakfast, you might be thinking, okay, there's the protein, there's the carbohydrate from the berries, and then there's the spinach for the non-starchy carbohydrates. What about fats? Eggs actually have a very even amount of protein and fat. So I've already added two egg yolks into my scramble. I'm counting that as my fat. Okay. Then at lunch, I'm going to have shredded chicken. I'm going to put some beans in. I'm going to put some salsa in, some lettuce, cheese, or sour cream. I have my protein from my chicken. I have my black beans as my starchy carbohydrates. I have salsa. I have lettuce as my non-starchy carbohydrates. And then I'm going to do either cheese or sour cream as my fat. Okay. And then at night, I don't cook two meals ever. I mean, very rarely, unless my children want chicken nuggets and I don't feel like making dinner. And I'm not going to consume chicken nuggets because I'm 42, but I am going to maybe throw a frozen salmon fillet in my air fryer, but I'm not doing a whole lot of extra work for myself. But generally, what we're eating is the same thing, but I will modify it for myself because I'm mostly gluten-free. I feel better that way. I also want to make sure that my starchy carbohydrates are coming from as much whole, clean foods as I possibly can. So we're going to have burgers. I'm going to have a burger with them, but I'm going to maybe put it on a bed of lettuce and make it into like a salad. Or I'm going to just have a side of vegetables and I'm going to cut up some sweet potatoes and have that as my side. And I won't put it on a bun, but my family's going to have it on a bun. I totally don't care if they have their burgers on a bun. I love that for them. Enjoy your bread. I'm personally not going to, but I'm not also going to tell you not to. If you hate burgers without a bun and you love the bun and bread gives you life and your body is good with that, you should eat a bun, right? This is adulthood, eating in adulthood. If your body feels good with a bun and you feel good eating the bun, like there's no problem with the bun, right? We're using the actual feedback from our body and how we want to live our lives to make our food decisions. That is why things don't work long term because you keep trying to copy and paste different people's rules and apply them to your life, even though you're like, I don't ever want to eat a burger without a bun, right? But you keep trying to eat a burger without a bun. Don't do things that you don't actually want to do and you can't do them forever. That's what we're here to do. But the forever also has to include feedback from your body. If you're bloated and uncomfortable and you have diarrhea or constipation, or you're inflamed and puffy after having a bun full of gluten, then we probably want to take that as feedback from the body. Not that your body has done anything wrong, but that your body's actually communicating to you. And here's the other beautiful thing. Remember back to this guy. You're able to hear that communication, right? I feel safe, even though I had a bun with my burger, but because my body feels safe, because this blood sugar, this meal was stable, I still had a bun. But guess what? Now I can understand what my body's telling me, right? I can feel the inflammation after having a bun. I can feel the achiness after having this kind of food. I can feel this and I can put the dots together instead of guessing and being chaotic about all my decisions, right? You're increasing your body's ability to communicate you to you so you can make informed decisions. Not from me telling you what's right or wrong, from your body telling you what's right for you. So lots of, so there's three different ideas on here just to help you see that in real life. But then what I want you to do, if you haven't started already, because in the Facebook group, I went live, I think on Monday to show you how to do this. But what I want you to do is to just simply plan out your meals or document your meals for 3 days and just notice when you pause and you start to write out, oh, I had this for protein, or I had this for fat, or I had this for veggies and this for starchy carbohydrates. You're going to start to see where am I missing some of the things that my body actually needs. And then also, when we assess and we ask ourselves at the end of the day or at the end of the meal, how was my hunger with that meal, right? Did I approach that meal and eat it like a ferocious bear because I went 6 hours without eating? Right? Remember yesterday we talked about the hunger scale, 0 to 10. Did I eat when I was a 0 and I went way past the feeling of satisfaction and now I'm overly full? Well, in the past, when we do that, then we're like, God, why can't I get it together? I always do this. I get too hungry, then I eat too much, and I'm just going to skip dinner tonight. And then we recreate the same whole problem tomorrow. But when we stop to say, oh, actually, my hunger was the 0, I don't need to skip dinner tonight because I overate at lunch because my body knows how to use that food. And by dinner time, I probably will be hungry. I am going to allow myself to eat because my body needs to eat if it's hungry, right? So we're just connecting dots, seeing ourselves in real time, which is such useful information, right? Instead of reading a book telling you exactly what to do, let's use the information your body's giving you by asking it really good questions. Was my energy high, low, stable after eating a meal? Before eating a meal? Answer it whenever you want to. I love it after a meal so I can see in real time, oh, my body actually really does like I'm eating this week chicken breast with sweet potatoes and arugula and feta. My body loves it. I feel great all day. I don't eat like an a-hole at dinner time because I'm very well taken care of for the late afternoon hours, right? Because I ate really good at noon. My cravings were less, more, easier to manage, right? This is going to give you a lot of insight. Our cravings don't usually come at 8 a.m., right? We're not sneaking Cadbury eggs out the door on the way to work. We're sneaking Cadbury eggs at 5 p.m., at 8 p.m., at 9 p.m., just one more before bed, right? Those are happening because of what's actually happening at 8 a.m. I skipped breakfast. I grabbed a latte. I didn't eat enough at lunch. I feel way overwhelmed today. I put way too much on my calendar. I didn't give myself any time. I didn't take a break. I didn't go outside and see the sunshine. I haven't touched the grass in 3 months, right? It's those things that is the actual problem. It's not the cravings at 3 p.m. So you have 3 days to test this out and see how it feels. Um, and then I also want you to take like a moment after journaling and notice, how did perfectionism come up for me? How did hyper control come in? What does doing it right look and feel like for you? Because as you're journaling and as you're writing out your protein, your carbs, your fiber, and your fat, there will be voices that come up that say that this isn't enough. You're not doing it good enough. You're doing it really wrong, right? And so that's that nervous system conditioning coming in to try to protect you to stay right where you are. And if you stay right where you are, you will always be here. And if that sounds good to you, that's not a problem to me. But you're here for a reason. And so notice when the shit talking from your own mind starts to come up and say that this isn't enough, you're not doing it right. And start to prove to yourself that I actually am taking the right steps because I'm taking the steps towards me. I'm taking the steps towards my answers in my body, and I'm not outsourcing anymore. Okay, let's do a nervous system tool. This one is called the washing machine. And okay, there. Okay, so I'm standing up, and you will want to be standing up for the washing machine. So you're going to stand with your feet flat on the ground. Okay, just feel your feet on the ground. We're just telling our body where we are right now. I can feel the carpet beneath my toes. It's soft, it's squishy. Tell yourself, what can you feel under your feet? And take a nice big breath in and exhale. And then we're going to start twisting from left to right. And this is it. It's like the spinning part. No, not spinning. I don't know which part of the washing machine actually does this cycle, but it does. So twisting left to right. As you start to warm up, see if you can twist a little bit deeper, a little bit more. And then as my hands swing, I like to make sure that they touch my body towards the end of my twist, just like this, right? So you can kind of see how I hit there. And now we're going to make it just a little bit harder. And I want you to close your eyes while you do this and focus on your breath being big, taking up space. And a long exhale on the other side. Okay, now you can stop. How do we feel? Sometimes we need to wait just a minute because that one involves more movement. There's more blood flow happening. Your heart rate might have gone up, so we don't quite yet feel the regulation. But generally, after a minute or so, you'll start to be like, oh, I have a little bit clearer thoughts. Oh, I can feel my stomach kind of drop in a helpful, grounded way instead of a fluttery up here kind of way. So let me know how you liked that one. And then we're going to do breath work tonight at 6:30, another nervous system tool that I teach my clients. This is going to be more of a meditation into some breathing, into meditation. So you'll want to come to breath work, being able to be in a nice, quiet, calm environment, somewhere where you're able to lie down, because we also want to be able to have room for the breath. Meditation works generally better when we are alone in a space somewhere comfortable. Um, you can wear headphones or AirPods so that you can kind of be in on the moment and the music. And I will guide you through everything. If you have, some of you have been to my breathwork sessions before, some of you have not. You don't have to have come to any of my breathwork sessions. If you have, and we did active breath work. If you've come to any of them before, we're not doing active breath work tonight because this is I mean, I have like half of a very new audience, half of a very like familiar audience. And breath work, active breath work can be more activating with your first session than it is regulating. And we're already learning a lot this week. We're already doing new things. We're already journaling, making new decisions, bringing in information. And so we don't want to add to any of the dysregulation that sometimes can come with active breath work. So there's lots of different types of breath work. Tonight, we're going to do a more relaxing breath work session. So it'll be very nice tonight. So everything that we are learning so far, day one, nervous system regulation, today is nourishment. Everything so far is foundational, right? These are the foundations to create a safe body. And also, this is the foundation of body wisdom. So body wisdom will be a 12-week framework for feeling right at home in midlife to get to where you want to be, feeling better with your stress, losing unwanted body fat, balancing your hormones naturally, having more energy, sleeping well at night. Body Wisdom will be that 12-week container that really helps bring this all to fruition. And Body Wisdom will be open tomorrow. So I know that you've heard much of this before today. I hope that this is landing more and making more sense. And you maybe have even tried things like this in the past. You maybe have heard things like this before. Maybe you've listened to my podcast for a long time and you're like, oh yeah, I've heard this, blah, 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 blah. Same thing. But also knowing something and being able to live it consistently are two completely different things, right? I know that because I just did 3 audits this morning of women who are doing a lot of right things. Women who are already have a very high level of awareness. Women who already know exactly what they need and yet not able to follow through either consistently or creating a safe enough body to be able to manifest the things that you are doing, right? Your body just doesn't feel safe enough to give you that result that you're really looking for. And this is the missing piece of decades of conditioning that was taught to you to perform wellness instead of live it. Performing wellness looks like tracking every single gram of protein. Performing wellness looks like I have to wear my Apple Watch to go do a workout. Performing wellness looks like doing a checklist, doing all the supplements, doing this, buying that, right? That is performance. And we're trying to perform so well that it becomes us, but it doesn't because it's not us. Because we're not actually bringing our body into the conversation. We're not actually asking our body, what do we need, right? We're trying to force our body into fitting into something that we think is the right answer. And it was not the right answer for us. It was not the right answer for you. And now, instead of performing wellness, I want you to think about, how do I become wellness? How do I stop outsourcing wellness? How do I become and allow this to just be me, all of me, right? I don't have to perform anymore. I don't have to do the checklists. I don't have to try to fit myself into somebody else's box and rules. I get to create my own. And my own rules are the right rules. Um, Okay, I think that's what I have for that. Do I suggest just a few minutes of the mindful exercises at a time to get regulating results? Typically, yes. So the butterfly tapping from yesterday, the washing machine from today, you just need a couple of minutes to be able to re-regulate yourself. And these tools are meant to show you, what does it feel like when my body starts to feel safer? They're not the thing that if, just like I just said, performing wellness, that if I do this enough times, I'm just going to be walking around completely regulated. That's not the point of nervous system tools. Nervous system tools are meant to show you what it feels like to feel regulated, to apply them when you need to notice that, oh, I'm really dysregulated. I'm yelling at my kids. I'm screaming at them. I'm grabbing chocolate. I'm doing all the things that I tell my clients not to do. I'm going to stop. I'm going to feel my feet on the floor. I'm going to do a little butterfly tapping. I'm going to maybe go to my room and do this with the door closed so I can just have a little bit of moment to myself. And then all of a sudden, my body drops into some regulation. My nervous system starts to come back online, right? And now I can go outside of my room and I can be the regulated adult that my children need, that I want to be in my life, right? That's what tools are for. So don't look at this and say, I'm going to do butterfly tapping 7 times a day for the next week, and then I'll just be regulated. That's not how it works. Because also, we're going to walk around and we're still living a human life with humans out there. And that's a very imperfect condition. That's everything that we live in is created to bring us into dysregulation and then us to learn how to move ourselves into regulation. That's what we really want, right? Notice when I'm dysregulated, bring myself out. Notice, bring myself out. It's the ebb and it's the flow. And we want to be good with the ebb and the flow, but right now we don't understand how to ebb. We only flow. And we only flow into the dysregulation, right? We're never bringing ourselves back. So remember that when we are using the tools is that they are meant to show us what does it feel like to feel better in our bodies? When can I use them? And when I notice I need them, when can I apply them in my day-to-day life? I, especially for somebody, if I have like a private client that I'm working very one-on-one with, and I'm like, there's a lot going on and we just need to show the body safety throughout the day. We need to have little intervals throughout the day to remind us what regulation feels like because there's a lot going on. Then maybe I'll assign her butterfly tapping in the morning. And then I want you to do, for example, like, because we know these two, the washing machine, when you get home from work, right? So I'll give her like kind of a little bit of a prescription. Let's do this for a little bit while and see if it makes a difference. Because basically I'm just giving her some accountability to check in with her body, right? Giving her some accountability to say like, oh, I'm going to do this so I can remind my body what it feels like to feel good. And then I'm also going to do it when I get home from work because I know that maybe that's a rough time of day for me. And I'm going to remind myself to check in with my body versus just go full on into the storm of 5 p.m. Everyone's hungry. It feels chaotic. I'm hungry. I'm tired. I'm crabby. I want to sit down and it feels like a lot at that time of day. So those are just some examples. No rules. All right, my friends. So tonight, 6:30, you'll get the email an hour beforehand that will have the Zoom link. And then Facebook Live again tomorrow at 10 a.m. for the next set of audits. And then also at 12 o'clock tomorrow will be our last live together. But the Facebook group will stay open all the way through next week as well. And then the replays will be available all the way through next week too. So questions, concerns, throw them in the Facebook book. You can also, Facebook group, you can also reply to any email I send you, and I can reply back if you need any help. Oh, thank you, Sandra. Thank you. I'm grateful for you too. Thank you so much for coming, guys. I will see you all soon. Bye-bye.